South Florida put on a show. Did they ever at the state baseball championships? Yes, welcome to the Curtain Call podcast here on the Man on Second YouTube channel. Been a couple of weeks because I've been so busy getting caught up. Went to the state championships in Fort Myers, had great time, spent the full week there, and South Florida cleaned up, going 5-0 in state championship games. Sent 6 teams when you count Miami-Dade and Broward counties. 6 schools went there. Brito is the only one that didn't reach the state finals. They fell out in the semifinals, but Brito did a really good job, and they had a chance to pull an upset over there in 1A, but story of the tournament was South Florida and how they clearly dominated, going 5-0, winning classes 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, and 7A. From my understanding, the first time in history the Miami-Dade and Broward counties have combined to win 5 titles, with 3 coming from Broward County, with the Stoneman Douglas Eagles in Class 7A making history. They won their 5th straight state title. First time that's ever happened. 6A, St. Thomas Aquinas, congratulations to the Raiders, state champs. And then 4A, American Heritage from Plantation wins their 2nd title in 3 years. Big win for American Heritage. Over in Miami-Dade County, we go down to 3A, where we have Miami Springs winning it all. And then in 5A, Mater Academy Charter, they win it all. And we will break that down here on the podcast today as I kind of give an overview, kind of sum up the season. What I plan to do is I'll probably pull out to each of the 5 champions, probably do a little special podcast on each one of those. But this will be an overview. Again, thanks to everyone for all the support all season. A reminder, as always, please like and subscribe, because you guys keep this thing growing, and then we really appreciate it. Over 1 million views in the month of May, over 8 million views in the last 15 months since I relaunched. It's been a remarkable ride as Man on Second, and the Curtain Call podcast is part of it now, as we're kind of getting you caught up with everything. Let's kind of round it out. For all, there are 8 classifications for those that know in the state of Florida. The South Florida schools, as noted, won 5 of those titles. We go all the way from 7A on the top, all the way down to, and 7A, 6A, 5A, 4A, all the way down to 1A. Then there's a rural classification. South Florida, because of population, and we don't have any rural schools that competed. The only schools that didn't win was in 2A, 1A, and the rural class from South Florida. But congratulations to 2A champs, the First Academy in the Orlando area, and Canterbury, a local Fort Myers team. They won it all in 1A. And Holmes County, up in the north part of Florida, they won the state championship as well in rural. As noted, it's a really good job. First of all, I want to give a hats off. I'm having you notice I got my FHSAA, Florida High School Athletic Association hat. Let me get rid of this here, and you can see I got my state playoff shirt. So I got the gear, and I do want to give a hat tip and really kind of compliment Fort Myers for really hosting this and doing an outstanding job. They play the games at Hammond Stadium, which is the spring training home of the Minnesota Twins. Minor league operations are there as well. Great venue. And again, they really are first class as the way they handled it. 2nd year in a row I've been to Fort Myers, and it's a great venue, great destination. I thought that they did a really good job. And let's kind of focus here from the South Florida point of view on what I thought a separator was, because there are a lot of great teams in the state of Florida. I appreciate all of them. I cover a lot with interest. I will have my final state rankings that'll appear on the high school on SI, the Sports Illustrated High School Division. I'll have that up later in the week on who, I'm not going to tip my hand yet, who will be the number 1 team. But let's put it this way, I'm putting a lot of weight in the teams that win it all. I've seen some national polls that obviously do not pay attention to the state finals, and they go by either whatever metric they want. But why have a playoff and rankings if you're just going to have the teams that lose get ranked over the teams that win state titles. That's not going to be in my poll. I'll just give you that little bit of hint, but take it with a grain of salt. But again, I thought Fort Myers, they sent two schools, Canterbury winning in 1A, and they sent in 5A. I'll get caught up wherever Bishop Verot was. They were a nationally ranked team, and they did not get there. I believe that's 3A. 3A was great job by Miami Springs. They were an upset winner. Yeah, they beat Bishop Verot, which brings. Keep in mind, it's hot. It's in Fort Myers, and Fort Myers brings a lot of people to see their schools. So. Miami Springs played Bishop Verot, beat them 12-2, and then they beat South Walton 2-1 the title game. That was a big upset. But I'm going to break it down. I'm going to start with 7A. I'm going to start with Stoneman Douglas. But actually, before I do that, I'm going to pop up a couple of videos, because I think what separated the South Florida schools from the rest was, I thought, specifically defense. The defense is, especially infielders, just their athleticism was just off the charts. I'll give a couple of examples here. We'll pop this one up. This was an infield in situation by Stoneman Douglas. This is the championship game against Jupiter, and we did have two Palm Beach schools go, Jupiter High and St. Andrews. St. Andrews lost in the semifinals in 2A. Jupiter won, beat Haggerty in 7A to match up against Stoneman Douglas. But let's take us through the play. Key moment in the game here, and keep in mind, Douglas won 3-2, and this is a big kind of moment here because Jupiter is facing, they have the infield in. They got come on, don't have a problem loading on me. I'll speak and set it up, and hopefully the video will go. Getting tired of this, so it doesn't want to always accommodate. But Jupiter has man on third. Daniel Tattaglia is pitching for Stoneman Douglas. Drew Freeman's a catcher. Jake Rizzo's at third. They get a ground ball out to get a huge out, and they win the game 3-2. So that run really mattered. And I don't know why this video doesn't want to play along, but that does happen from time to time here. I don't know if it's a connection problem or not, but I'll just let it sit there. But let me just I'll kind of do it. Hopefully the video accommodates me. Frustrating. Sorry about that, folks. But let's start with the Eagles in the semifinals. They played Alonzo High out of Tampa. Gio Rojas on the mound for Stoneman Douglas. He strikes out, there was 16, but I think they updated the stats. They got 16, either or, 15, 16. Gio Rojas was outstanding. He was no hitting him until like the fifth inning. The Douglas offense didn't really show their explosiveness in Fort Myers, but when you got the pitching that they have, and when you got a Gio Rojas on the mound, you don't need a lot of offense. And in that game against Alonzo, Bennett Gary kind of got things going with a hit, or scored a run the first inning. Eric Torres had 2 hits in the win, 5-0. But it was the Gio show, and again, that's what Gio Rojas does. And then in the championship game, which was really a great game against Jupiter. Again, that was the thing about these teams when you're deciding which way to go with your pitching. Most everybody goes with their ace in the first game, because you got to get to the championship game. So that's kind of the thought process. So they throw their ace, and then their number 2 usually goes in the championship game. And in this case, it was Daniel Tartaglia, who pitched really well. He went 3 innings. Gio pitching his complete game freed up Todd Fitzgerald to go with everybody. He just could play it from the pitch whoever was left, which was everybody else on staff. Lorenzo Laurel had a huge 2-run hit in that game. And Jupiter really showed up. They have a really good hitting team. A lot of D1 players on that team. Joe Giamulli in his first year did a great job. with that team getting to the title game. Like I said, they beat Haggerty and setting that up against Douglas. But I wish this video would show, because this is a key out at home plate that we're not seeing. But I'm tired of looking at that. So, but again, it's execution. When when you got everything on the line, it's a matter of executing. It's a matter of timely hits. And I think Jupiter actually took the lead in that game, and Lorenzo Laurel bounced back with a big 2-out, two strike hit, even that was huge for Stoma Douglas to pull even. And then Michael Osenford had a big hit that put them ahead by a run, which proved to be the difference. Yeah, Jupiter scored a run in the top of the second inning, and then Stoma Douglas got the 2 runs in the bottom on Lorenzo Laurel's two-run hit. Bottom of the 5th, they gained an insurance run, like I said, on Michael Osenford's single to drive in a run. Then in the top of the 6th inning, Jupiter fights back, gets a run to make it 3-2. After Tartaglia came out of the game, they went with a Chase Wild route. He went an inning and 2/3, and then Braylon Courtney, the left-hander, he kind of polished the last 2 and a third innings. But in that 6th inning was real challenging for him. Jupiter, like I said, they made things happen at the plate and got a big hit there to score a run, but they also did a little trickery that kind of backfired on them. They had first and third with I believe it was 1 out or 2 outs, and they tried to get the guy on first into a rundown situation and try to steal a run with the runner on third, during the rundown, taking off towards home. But I thought the composure that the Douglas kid showed under that was, first of all, Braylon Courtney didn't balk, which they tried to get the pitcher to do that. He throws the ball to the shortstop, Eric Torres, who really kind of masterfully handled, kind of getting the runner there and getting that runner going back to first, but sensing and seeing when the runner on third was too far off third base, through to third. Jake Rizzo applied the tag. They got a huge out right there to get out of that jam and out of that inning. So that was a huge moment in the game. And then the 7th inning, Courtney had a little bit easier time, but never easy to get the final 3 outs. And a new perspective, because it's funny, the next day I'm listening to people in the press box, and they're kind of almost diminishing what Stoma Douglas did, because they thought they would win by a bigger margin. Hearing these people, that game, I thought they would win. For one, you're underselling a really good Jupiter team, because that's a team that that beat a really good Haggerty team, and then secondly, you're acting like winning a championship is a given. And I get that Stoma Douglas has made their own culture, and a lot of people think that they should just walk on the field and win. Well, I think they went 31-2, and they're also high school baseball players that you're not automatically just going to win. Just show up against quality competition in a 1-game playoff where anything can happen, a bad bounce, like I said, a sun in your eye, an umpire's call, a strike zone changing in the middle of a game, which does happen. All can affect the outcome. And Douglas found a way to win, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I started thinking about that line that I heard just somebody in the press box talking about, I thought they would win more. Well, Tampa Jesuit was heavily favored to get to the title game in 4A and face American Heritage with a chance to repeat. They didn't get there. Mulberry beat them. Douglas is the only team that repeated. St. John's Country Day in 1A was in position to repeat, but they lost to Canterbury, a team that had American Heritage beat in the regular season in Fort Myers. South Walton, the only team to beat IMG this year, really good team. They were playing Miami Springs in 3A. Everyone thought that Miami Springs didn't even need to show up. They were going to get blown out. South Walton didn't win. So point being, don't discredit a championship, even if it's a 1-run win. It's a 1-run win is a win, and yeah, if you're have everything fall right. If Gio Rojas is pitching, maybe it's a 5-run win. But Gio can't pitch every game, obviously. So that's my 2 cents there. Let me take it down to, so again, congratulations to 7A champs, Stoneman Douglas, as Todd Fitzgerald, their great coach, said afterward, it will never happen again. And you start thinking about it, and I guess Archbishop McCarthy back in the day, in the 2000 to 2010 to 20s, they had a 4 in a row. Um, it's really hard. It's really hard. American Heritage, we'll get to them in a minute. They won 2 out of 3. Again, that's really hard. Um, some of these teams, Trinity Christian Academy out of Jacksonville has a team that nationally ranked in the top 10. They didn't win the state title. They didn't win it last year. Now they have a bunch of good juniors. They'll come up, have one more shot at, but they haven't won yet. So to think that winning state titles is just a given is really more a reflection on how I think us in the media have to kind of acknowledge that maybe we should do our homework a little bit more on who they're playing and not just assume outcomes all the time, especially with high school kids. They mess at the college and the pro level, so why should we be surprised? So let's take it down to 6A, St. Thomas Aquinas. Congratulations to the Raiders. Offense was the story all year for St. Thomas. It was again in the state playoffs. In the semifinals, they played Bloomingdale. They 4-inning run ruled them 15-0. What a game that was. I think they had like 14 or 15 hits. Nico Sabatino had an outstanding 2 games in Fort Myers. And from what I understand, I guess he messaged out that Nico is now committed. He has 1 more year to go to the University of Florida. Super happy for Nico, a guy I was really, publicizing all year. He really stepped up defensively, offensively. He made one of the great catches when he turned on the ball and went back and made an outstanding diving catch in a deep center field. But like I said, semifinals, 14 hits. Andrew Alvarez, 2 doubles. Zach Malvasio, outstanding all year, outstanding again. 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Cole Asher, 3 RBIs. Brady Bucksbaum, a double RBI. Again, they made easy work of Bloomingdale, putting them in a great position in the title game against Buchholz, a team that's, again, a team a really good team, but I didn't see it. I didn't see like a real wow factor. I was expecting a little bit more from them. Now they got to the title game, and but they a great opponent. And in the title game, it was 8-3 in favor of St. Thomas. I thought Johnny Lopez pitched a really brave game there. He went 5 innings, allowed 3 runs, but man, did he battled. AJ Lopez came in for the final 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, got the save. Well, if you count a 8-3 game, a save, but closed it out. Malvasio, 2 RBIs, 2 hits. Lasher, 2 hits. Alvarez, again, 2 hits and RBI. Brady Bucksbaum, a great series. You could go up and down that lineup for St. Thomas. That was a team that just kind of got better as the year went on. And just to score 8 runs in the title game against Buchholz was really impressive. J.J. Gardner was impressed with him at Buchholz. He had a 2-run homer, which I think was in the first inning, that it kind of made things interesting because Buchholz was the higher seed. I think they gave up 3 runs in the first. That was the thing with St. Thomas in both those games. Scoring early, huge for those teams that were able to get those early leads. But St. Thomas, really well-deserved. Just a team that clicked as a team. They had enough pitching. Thomas Giltner threw well in the semifinals. He had so much run support, but you got to get out of it. And like I said, Johnny Lopez getting it on the title game, really, really brave performance by him. And Johnny Lopez, I thought Johnny Baseball had a home run. It was funny. He hit a ball. He actually circled the bases, and then he hit it deep to right field, I guess they said it hooked foul, but he ran the bases, and then it was after that the umps consulted, but no home run. But still, I think Johnny Baseball, closes out his prep career with an outstanding performance in the state title. Congratulations to Joey Wardlow, coach, and his staff, and everyone at St. Thomas. We really enjoyed covering them this year. It was a fascinating team and well-deserved title. Let's take it down to 5A, where we got Matter Academy. Let me get my notes here. Make sure I'm up to speed with all this stuff. Matter Academy, when I talk about defense, Brandon Lorenzo, the shortstop, probably played the best defense of any shortstop I saw in Fort Myers, and he did an outstanding job. He helped win that game. He also had a big hit, and just a super player. Like I said, he's a junior University of Miami commit. But Matter, interesting. They find congrats, man. The Lions, what an interesting year in 5A. They start the year off 0-3. And then they start, they win a game, but they're 1-5 after 6 games. And yet they finished 25-9-1. Win state. They in the semifinals they get Fort Myers, the home team. They fall behind 5-0, like in the first 3 innings. And that where I video down there, it's in the area where the Fort Myers parents were, and boy, the game was over in their eyes. And then all of a sudden, it changed, and Matter Academy goes on, gets like 4 or 5 runs and takes the lead, and they end up winning the game, 8-5, and just an amazing job. Their second baseman, what a fire plug he is, left-handed hitter. Iker, hope I'm pronouncing his name, Noguera, was that kid. He was dealing with cramps because it's so super hot in those day games. But he had give him some water. He'd go make a play. His legs would cramp, and he'd come back out, bunt hits. He just kind of an energizer. He makes things happen. Alfred Rosario, he pitched in that game to close it out, but he didn't start that game, but he scored 2 runs in that game. Brian Fernandez, he had 2 RBIs. Yodelkis Quevedo is the big junior third baseman, the guy who wears Aaron Judge's number 99. He had a big sac fly. But again, defense matters, and defense, and pitching win titles. And a little easier ride for Matter. In the title game, they win 6-1 over Wesley Chapel. 3-run first inning kind of set the tone there. Alfred Rosario pitched 6 1/3 innings. I thought it was really a game performance by Alfred because it wasn't like he was dominant. He dealt with guys on base all the time. He gave up 9 hits and walked 3, and he went 6 1/3 innings. Yet he did strike out 7. He only gave up that 1 run. And they kind of had the game in hand by then. And then Adrian Pena came in and got the final 2 outs. So again, great job by Matter Academy. Just did a super job. Fun team to watch. Very, very good team. Now let's take it to 4A, because that's interesting too, because that was American Heritage. Maybe this video worked for me, hopefully. Again, defense, big part of it. All right, maybe I got a video going. Okay. And this is a big play. And this is kind of senior leadership. This is third baseman RJ Machado. And this is against Arnold in the semifinal game. And Heritage wins this game 3-2 in 8 innings. But when I talk about, this is the moment where Heritage got to a fast start. They scored 2 runs in the first inning. Jordan Rich got a hit, stole a bag, got it. Joey Castro followed with a hit. So make it 1-0. And then Dylan Dubovic, I believe, hit a double, make it 2-0. It looked like Heritage was on the way, but Arnold, they didn't start their best guy. They didn't start Cooper Moss, the big senior Florida commit, and he came in and just he changed the game. He went 7 1/3 innings, really good, got 8 Ks, and Heritage had a lot of wasted opportunities. But and I'll get to Talon Holiday in a minute, but he gives up a 2-run hit here. But really smart. Now watch this, because you got Machado, his composure there at third. 2 runs are scoring to tie the game. Jordan Rich with a really good read to take the ball to third base instead of try to throw home and get a runner out. He wasn't going to get out. And you just see really good tag here. Positions himself. RJ Machado just had a super semifinals and really quick tag there, and a big moment for American Heritage, because that kept it at 2-2, didn't surrender the lead, because if they surrendered the lead the way Cooper Moss was pitching, Heritage may not have won this state title. So big moment in that game was this play at third. Let's do one more angle of it. Again, just the positioning and the ability to make a play, the ability to calm a game down, to know where to be, to anticipate. And RJ, just like, again, he had an amazing game, and an amazing playoffs, and a great senior season for RJ Machado. But that game, Callan Holiday, I do want to talk about him because it was as bad as gutsy a performance. And for a final showing, and keep this in mind, Callan Holiday didn't even have to pitch in the second half. He dealt with like a lower leg, groin, hip, whatever they want to officially call it. But he went like two or three starts with hampered by this injury to his lower body on his push off leg on the mound, and he did come back late in the year, but threw like 10 pitches and it flared up on him again and he was down again, and he didn't want to let it go, and he wanted to go out and try to win a title. He wanted to face Jesuit one more time, or at least certainly pitch in the state playoffs. And he got the nod, and I thought it was gutsy. He gave up 6 hits, he gave up 2 runs and 5 in the third. He wasn't right. His stuff, his slider, everything wasn't as crisp as it was when he was a junior and healthy. And people I talked to said you could tell it looked like he was dealing with something. Yet 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, gave his team literally everything he had. And I think that's contagious. I think that rubs off on the team and was a big reason why, American Heritage, he picked them up. He gave them a huge outing. Caden Garrow, a lot of hat tip to Caden Garrow in his final high school appearance to go 2 2/3 innings with 4 Ks, no runs. Now keep in mind this is a game now. What Heritage had going in his favor, they were a higher seed, so they were batting last. So you get to extra innings. They had numerous times. They stranded runners in scoring position numerous times, but did not happen in the eighth inning. Our guy RJ Machado, he gets a double. They intentionally walked Dylan Dubovic, which was an interesting call because Bladen Caballero actually in this game hit their great sophomore shortstop. He had a triple to lead an inning off, and they had a guy in third. I think it was like the fifth inning, and they couldn't score him. So you intentionally walked Dubovic, the college commit already to Miami and a potential draft pick, to get to a sophomore. And all Bladen Caballero does is come through with a game-winning walk-off hit to right field and scored R.J. Machado they win that game 3-2. And really, that was kind of the championship game from Heritage's standpoint in terms of the battle. The other game, hats off again to Mulberry for upsetting Jesuit, one of the great teams in the country, and their number they beat Jesuit and their ace, and sets that up. Their second pitcher was not quite up to the standard. He got in a little bit of trouble and gave like in the title game. With Mulberry, that's where they kind of got snake bit there. They gave 5 runs in the second inning, kind of changed the complexion of that game. Mark Aliman, really good lefty for American Heritage, he was given that big lead, and then he executed pitches. Chris Levy with a big 2-run double in that 5-run inning. Sebastian Garavito kind of got the inning going with a hit. Zach Wilson in his final game at Heritage, they came up big. I thought an interesting moment was Jordan Rich, who had an unbelievable year. JR gets a hit, steals, he gets to third. RJ Machado hits this sac fly. It looked like that ball was just in very short center field, and the speed of Jordan Rich made it a no contest at the plate. It was kind of funny to make it 6, and then Santi Montiel, he pitched got a couple of key outs, and then Enrique Santos, the really good sophomore, he ends up getting the final 2 outs to win that game, and fittingly, the last out went to the glove of R.J. Machado. I kind of find these kind of poetic things, where when the game kind of finds the final out on key players. I was going to note that also when Stoneman Douglas won their game, the last out of that game was hit to right fielder Nick Diaz, fitting that Nick Diaz in his last game at Douglas made that out. And keep in mind, for those who pay attention to such things, Nick Diaz last year in 2024 had the walk-off hit in extra innings that gave Stoneman Douglas at the time their 4th straight state title. So I pay attention to that stuff. A little interesting aside, and that leaves me with Miami Springs, just because they were a very interesting team. First ever state title for Miami Springs. Congratulations. They go 28-3. Major upset over South Walton, a school that everyone thought, was just going to just walk all over them. South Walton was 31-4. South Walton the day before in the semis beat Hernando 17-2, while Miami Springs beat Bishop Verot, the local team, 12-2. Again, I was hearing a lot of people in the press box saying that South Walton won, that was going to just be a cakewalk. They were just going to dominate Miami Springs. Now, why did that not happen? In my point of view, Magdiel Estevez, first of all, pitching wins championships, obviously pitching and defense. And the lefty went 7 innings, allowed just 2 hits against a really explosive offense, and just was in control, not intimidated. But when I talk about defense, shortstop Roydan Perez, second baseman Jordani Gonzalez, third baseman Jordani Gonzalez, and second baseman Jordan Torres, each came up so big defensively in the 2 days, not just in the title game. Gonzalez at third made play after play, but that semifinal and that win over Bishop Verot was like a 2-run game at the time, and the Bishop Verot had like bases loaded and a chance to kind of break through and tie the game. There was a ground ball at the middle with 2 outs, and Perez made a diving play up the middle at short, and he kind of from the ground flipped it to second base, and Torres was kind of running full speed, trying to beat the runner from first to second. The flip was low, and in stride, he was able to reach down, make the catch while keeping his foot on the base for a sensational play to end that inning, which kept it 2-0 at the time. And then the next half inning, Springs scored 7 runs to break up into like a 9-2 game. So that defense really, really mattered for them. And then the title game, all they needed was they didn't need a lot of offense. And Taylor Anchetta, I hope I'm pronouncing Taylor's name right. He had a home run the second inning that gave Springs a 1-0 lead. Springs has a couple of studs. They got Coleman Borthwick, a junior, Auburn commit, and Charlie Wilcox, senior, who's a Georgia Tech commit. And Borthwick had one of the 2 hits, but this game belonged to Magdiel Estevez. He will be a hero in Miami Springs for years to come. Just a remarkable run, and that kind of sums up all 5 of our title teams. And again, I can't express my thanks enough to all that have supported this channel throughout the season. We're going to keep it rolling in the off season, and now it's travel ball season. Probably be having a few more podcasts, more analysis. I'm going to try to get out and see when the kids are working out, doing drills, and then before we know it, it'll be summer ball and then fall ball, and we'll be full bore as Man on Second just keeps going, and we'll get this Curtain Call podcast going. But with that, again, South Florida, we're proud of our baseball down here in South Florida for good reason. We're proud of baseball in the state of Florida for good reason. But the best baseball is played in South Florida. I'm sure we'll be talking about our kids as we get closer to the draft. And, when you're winning 5 out of 8 classifications and had a chance to, kind of clean up on all of them, pretty impressive run, especially with as many kids that transfer. It's hard to retain. So we got new schools popping up and it's good for the sport, I believe, because you're seeing some really, you're seeing teams like Miami Springs get there. Last year we had Westminster Christian, from Miami there. Doral Academy, always really good. But again, remarkable, and congratulations to all the champions. It was an amazing year. Thanks to everyone for the support. Again, please like and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more content to go. And again, we'll catch everybody in the